Hello, it's Ileana from Awakening Cosmic Reality Show. And I remember when I was in the planetary corporations, otherwise known as interplanetary corporate conglomerates, ICC, on their ships, they had crystalline core engines, basically. And they had basically a panel comes out from the engine room, right? And you have these little panels of crystals, like just panels. It's not like a crystal, raw crystal, it's panels. So, and the panels can move. The panels can move. And that's what powers the warp core itself. It has plasma as well on some of the ships. So it has a warp core, a plasma warp core, and also crystals that enhance the warp core. Those are some of the older actually planetary corp ships. The newer ones just purely run on crystal engines. So they've done various types of engines and warp drives and stuff that are powered by crystals, or a combination of hybridized technologies. Crystal panels, like small crystalline sections of panels, because you don't use raw crystals for crystalline engines actually. So because in Star Trek also they sometimes pull out the panel, right, and it has these dilithium crystals, but in the planetary corp ships they're not raw crystals. They've been basically, you know, homogenized with other technology and looped up somewhat with other properties, metallic properties, to make it function in the warp drive. It's important for the audience to understand that currently crystal technology, we don't have that on ships. We have that in watches. We have that in computronics. So we have it in certain Earth technology already, like I said, the watches, and also in computers and other electronics. The fact that we are basically, we are as a species, some people don't even believe extraterrestrials even exist. So there's that aspect of it as well. And basically just understanding that we have to liberate ourselves. No extraterrestrials will liberate us until we actually want to know the truth and be independent as a species. Go beyond the Kardashev zero scale and actually grow up as a species. So we have to keep that in mind. And there are negative extraterrestrials, more so than positives, out there who could come here and offer us, like openly offer us technology. And the cabal would just be happy for that, you know, just be so happy. Because negative species, what could happen, they offer us the tech, we take it, and then we almost kill ourselves with it. I've just been doing a lot of research on Project Horizon, because I remember being on the Lunar Space Operations bases on the moon, and also on the Mars bases. And in Project Horizon, they'd already built out the domed type of moon base. Basically, I found that they did it in, well, they say it was a spearheaded army/military ordered study how to build the bases, and that they had the Saturn II rockets to actually bring the crews and the all the equipment to build out the bases. So they already planned to build one in the 1960s, a Mars base facility. And they were going to keep rockets there and do launches back and forth from Earth to the moon. So basically, the military and the army was involved, and that was a U.S. commissioned project. So there's Volume 1 and Volume 2 on Project Horizon. And boy, oh boy, it has the specifications for how to do all of this. So they did it already in the 1960s and the 1980s. So none of this is new. None of this is special. It's been done, and it was declassified in 1961. these two documents and the military document. And it's on the U.S. National Security Archives website. They scanned it all in, and it's there. It was declassified, and some of it was unclassified. So basically, the blueprints are there for how to do it. And boy, oh boy, in diagram I-22, domed underground base. It's underground. They dug out the pipes. They connected the dome, basically meeting room, communications array. It's all underground. And what I remember, later on, they built out the Lunar Space Operations on top of that. So it did have surface level, many different levels on the surface as well with the domed technology. So they did it underground. They did it underground, like research, military, science labs, medical labs, crew quarters. That was the first base underground. Then they built over it on top more domes and more circular modules. And they did that on the Mars bases as well later on, but that's more sophisticated because most of it is planetary corporations. So it's already been done. It's done. Elon Musk, I just had a look at his website today, and it shows the same type of formation of rockets being parked on the moon base. He's planning to do a moon base, design one, and have platform stations for the rockets, for launching them from the moon back to the Earth and back again for supplies, and also to build domes, like domed structure facilities. That's already in volume 1 and 2 of the Horizon project. Exactly the specifications Elon Musk plans to use. So the same image is in Project Horizon as in Elon Musk's plan for the moon base. So copycatting is going about town. Plus, guess what Elon Musk plans to call the moon base? Alpha. I know it as Altus, higher ground, and Project Horizon is called Horizon, Project Horizon, higher ground. So there's disclosure everywhere you look. I mean, everywhere you look. And Corey Goode has talked about the moon bases as well, and he called it the LOC, base 1 being called Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie, I believe, something like that. I know them as different names, as Latin names for the bases, and so I won't contradict what Mr. Goode has been saying. I call them by different names. The Lunar Space Operations, I don't call it Lunar Operations Command. I remember it as a different name. Where did Corey Goode get those acronyms? Are they the true names of those places? Or who told them about that? Because in my memory I recall it as planetary corporations for the Mars bases and Lunar Space Operations, because they have more than one moon base. They have several on the moon and also several more moon bases that the LSP has in our solar system. So the acronyms that I use are similar, but that's what's been taken from my memories. Like, are those Corey's memories? Where did he get those names, those acronyms? That's the question I have. Where did it come from? Is it something that he made up? Is it something from his memory that those places are actually called? Planetary corporations, they work with extraterrestrials, the reptilians on the Mars basis, and also with the Nordics. So that's what I remember when I was on the Mars basis and the Mars platform space stations as well. I was in the planetary corporations. I had been told that the secret space program had been around for 100 years now. And that the one of the Mars factions, like the original settlers of Mars, one of the ET species who's humanoid looking, they helped out the English to build out a base there on Mars in 1912. According to the Montauk Project, one of the articles in the Montauk Project. So that was interesting. I don't know where the article is now, but it says the same thing, that the programs, the secret space programs and other space programs that are even outside the SSP have been around for 100 years or 100 plus. I was told that the base, the Mars base that the English had built out, was done in 1912. So it's interesting that the ETs helped them to build the base. So that was interesting for me to find out that information, and it certainly ties in with Lunar Space Operations and the Project Horizon 1960s and 1980s. I mean, I didn't have this declassified info until June 27th, but I already put it in my Lunar Space Operations presentation. It was in that presentation how they built the underground lunar base. So how did I know that? Just from memory recall, and then I get this document and voila. It's just about understanding what you're looking at, what you're experiencing, and actually putting the dots together. What seems like that positive experience, right? The Pleiadians making higher dimensional being, making contact with you and giving you teachings and all that. That can actually be a simulation also, like the positive experience. There's a negative one behind it, behind all the pretty little flowers of you making beautiful contact experiences. It could be a very nasty one because it could be a holographic simulation. So it could be the Andromedans as well. It could be the Pleiadians. It could be a negative species masquerading as the Andromeda Council and you wouldn't even know it. Who knows if the Andromeda Council itself is good or not, because from what I've heard, they're associated with the programs with the SSP as well. So for me, and I've had a lot of ET experiences and contacts and abductions with the reptilians. I've met the good, the bad, and the nasty, and the crazy. So I am a little bit more skeptical and a little bit not on the side that not all of them are positive and not all of them give you good experiences. So those I'm like, love and light, I had a beautiful contact ET experience. I'm like, well, be careful what you tell, because it might have not been so positive and so beautiful, and it reflects in your life. In the end, it does. We already invited them in the 1980s when we sent out that golden disc on the satellite thing, with the naked two humans saying hello in our genetic code and where Earth coordinates are. Hello, that's already been sent out and looked at by a bunch of negative ETs, and they've already been here. And somebody in the Secret Space Program group posted, ET screwing the primate, like literally screwing the primate in the ass, in the vagina. We've literally screwed ourselves by inviting the negative ETs here, and those ETs have screwed us 10 ways to Sunday, both orifices and then some, front and back, and implanted their nasty genetics into us. So it's already been done. It's like, this is not funny. They've screwed us up a million times over, literally, like screwed the primates physically, not just genetically modifying the humans. They've actually, some of the negative ETs, they literally raped humans to implant their genetic stock into us. Hello, we are the virgins, come rape us. Free will, welcome. I don't trust the Cobra protocol, ET contact protocol, where some resistance agent invites you to go down the manhole to inner Earth and to meet the resistance leadership and the Agartha network. That's supposed to liberate us, quote unquote, and free us from the Illuminati and Cabal. When I saw that protocol of you packing up your things, you have 15 minutes, you can't tell anybody where you're going or what you're doing. That protocol really, for me, I'm like, screw that. Like you can't come back home from inner Earth anymore once you go down the rabbit hole, down the manhole, literally, in the underground cave systems in the city or somewhere with this resistance agent, and you're going to be cleaned off from the AI, all the bugs in you. They're going to scan you, they're going to clean you up, and then you're going to be part of the resistance movement. I don't mean to belittle them and their belief systems, but I do think they're naive, that they're going to be liberated. And I don't trust Cobra at all. I'm sorry. I just don't. Well, a lot of people are contemplating going down the manhole in down the sewer system with the resistant agent and never coming back home and never having contact with their loved ones because they're being promised great things in the inner Earth network. Some of the Agartha beings down there are energy draining vampires, so don't trust them. Or the energy mind meld, where I'm going to share your spirituality, mine and yours together. Peace and love and light. We're going to, the House of Ka, we're going to mind meld together. To me, it sounds ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm not going to name the person who goes and does that with the Agartha network, but that has happened to some people. So they've gone down the rabbit hole and met with the ones that call themselves the Anshar. I have a memory of basically going to Inner Earth somewhere near Telos and meeting the elders in 200 robes and 14 elders in grayish black robes, having a meeting about how to get rid of the reptilians from our solar system so they don't get access to Inner Earth or Earth as a whole, so repelling the reptilian armada. The meeting of the 200, or the 100 and the 200. And I was given the white robe, and they said it's a sign of peace. You need to wear it, otherwise you can't participate in the meeting. You cannot participate if you don't wear the white robe. Show respect, show, that you're here to listen. You are not here to do anything, not to speak. You are just here to listen. And I've had them all, I've seen them all, and I've experienced them all. So for me, it's like I've had the whole spectrum of the positive experiences, contact, the negative experiences, and somewhere in between. So I just smile when people tell me their experiences. I'm just, okay, if you believe that happened to you, yeah, it might have happened to you, but you should look closer at what happened to make sure you're not traumatized and you're not infested with entity attachment from your supposed positive ET experience, because that can happen. Jumps like that and poof, that's PTSD for you. Or the extraterrestrial that comes to visit you with the anal probe up your ass and see how you react to that, and then you have anal bleeding and you don't know why. Because you've been anally probed. Congratulations, they took your, they scooped something from your ass, and, they used some kind of a laser wand to do it, or, something came out of it. I'm just using the pen as an analogy. The anal probe, and that's the most disgusting and despicable way of violating somebody that's what the Greys used to do. And now the military's masquerading as the Greys to abduct humans. Humans abducting humans, like you said before. So there's a whole spectrum of careful what you wish for. You might get an alien coming with an anal probe to take something out of your ass. Yep, you have the anal probe up your ass. And this is not a joke, folks. This does happen to people. Anally probed and tortured. It is not a joke. It happens, and it happens in my labs. It happens in the SSP programs. You're tortured for disobeying orders. It could happen anywhere practically in the universe. Nothing is sacred or safe out there, unfortunately. They just electrically shock you through your neural implants, and you're breathing in a seizure or spasming and having blood trickling out of your nose and a headache. And when you're released from the programs back into Earth society, you're broken. You have all kinds of aches and pains. You have all kinds of weird, rare disorders or diseases. And you wonder why you have them at such a young age, because you have age regression sickness syndrome from being out in space for 60 and back through time dilation, quantum leap time travel dilation program. It's not perfect science, and it's not perfect tech. You can't. Some people have been lucky enough not to have done like 20 or 60, maybe 10 years or something, and they're relatively healthy still with some eyesight issues. But some people come back broken, like medically broken. So there's so much in that too. Entering the light, it's like it's a light trap. Don't go into the light tunnel, whatever you want to call it. It's like a light trap, and you'll be recycled and your memories erased, and you'll be put back into the system somewhere. And it's not just Earth. You could reincarnate on any planet, basically. So it's not just focused on Earth. There are other worlds that you can end up. You don't get to choose where you end up. And the life review thing, you know, the Lords of Karma or the Lords of Time, they give you a life review, they give you a chance to go back and redo things. That's bullshit. To navigate away from the Earth matrix and the Saturn ring matrix system. And you have to see yourself leaving the solar system, and you have to know that it's not a tricked illusion. You are your own inner, whatever, paradise, whatever you want to call it. You are that higher supreme being. That's who you are as a person. So just trust yourself to navigate where you need to go and don't fall through the illusion in the matrix systems. Or it could be your loved one or your dog who's passed away or loved one who's passed away. So whatever negative beings they are or automated system AI, it shows you what you want to see, your loved one, your dog that, like I said, died, or somebody who's about to die, who's a relative. You could see that as well, because you're both passing away almost at the same time. So it could be a bunch of things that you could see, or you could see paradise, heaven, what your idea is, what your life programming is of paradise or heaven or enticement. They're trying to buy you off in the afterlife, basically, to get you to say, oh yeah, I'll go into the white light and then I'll disappear and I won't be me anymore. So give yourself some good old advice before passing away. I won't be bamboozled, I won't be manipulated, and I'll do whatever I damn well want to do when I pass away. I will be me. I'm in charge of me. I'm not going to be a yes man. I'm going to be a my man. One woman man show. Navigator. I'm going to navigate my own life, my own chart in the afterlife, basically. I'm not planning to reincarnate nowhere. I'm planning to be just a soul being of energy. And if I want a physical body, corporeal, I'll materialize myself a corporeal body to, travel to a planet and whatnot. But I plan to be a light body, to be a free energy, to have all my psychic abilities intact, and to not, incarnate in planetary body somewhere on a planet, because that, to me, that is a limitation. So I plan to be an energetic being, and that's the same as having a physical body. If you want to manifest that for yourself, you can temporarily, and then be energy and travel out in the universes and be free. So you have that option as well, or you can choose where you want to incarnate on a planet. I just don't trust the reincarnation anymore. I don't trust it, because it could be a trap. Even if you choose it yourself, it could be a trap. Well, that's what the planetary corps do. They make cyborgs out of humans, and they stick somebody else's soul into it, or your soul into that cybernetic / human augmented body, and that's what I saw them doing on Mars during my stint in the SSB. So I'm like, well, no thanks. I'm not going to take that offer. To tell you the truth, I don't want to live for 1,000 years in that kind of a physicality of a cyborg, or even if they give you drug serums to make you look younger constantly and live longer. That's not life. That's entrapment. You're constantly like you're trapped in your young body. I mean, sure, it's a good enticement to see your young body, but it's also like you never age, you never grow, your body doesn't change, and you're like same old routine for 1,000 years. That's just boring. Your soul doesn't learn anymore. It just doesn't learn anything anymore, and you're not growing as a soul. You're not ascending as a soul. And ascension can mean a lot of different things as a soul being. Moving up the densities, learning life knowledge, whatever that is. If you want to call that ascension, that's ascension. To everybody is something different. But with life extension, there could come a price with careful what you ask for that life extension. It just might be your purgatory, not your life-saving thing. I don't know what I did to my body in the previous lifetime, because I actually, well, the human lifetime, if I had one previous to this, I don't know what I did with it. I remember the ET lifetimes where my body was clean energy and a light body, and mostly manifested physicality when it wanted, and then just recycled that body, that it, it just recycled it back to energy form. So, and in this lifetime, I keep a pretty clean lifetime schedule. Clean eating, clean living, just using my time wisely to grow as a soul and not bother what's not important anymore or trivial. I've actually put block programming. If I am taken by some point or whatnot, I don't want to know about it anymore, because it really interferes with my life, what I'm doing now. And I'm working on a lot of projects physically that I've been able to manifest. I've sold the properties that I wasn't doing well with physically, like you said, the sensitivities to the smells. And I actually found out Kelowna had radon gas emissions and also uranium deposit radiation. So that was not physically a good place for me to live. My Hashimoto's encephalopathy episodes really flared up, and that's the rare autoimmune disorder you mentioned. So I let go of the physical properties, and I was able to manifest a more appropriate property to live in with some extraterrestrial help, guidance. I can't believe I'm going to say this. I took real estate advice from an interdimensional rat, a being that looked like a rat. Rat Dude, nicknamed Rat Dude. He gave me real estate advice, when to sell the properties and when to buy one, and how the sellers and the owners would act as well. So he actually gave me real-time advice, how people would act. I think of them as all interdimensional, some kind of extraterrestrials, even though it presents itself as an animal totem. In reality, it's something more sophisticated. It's an extraterrestrial. They all are. Energy beings are extraterrestrial too, or interdimensional beings. I look at them as ETs. They are what they are. He just showed up as a rat dude. And I'm the year of the rat in the zodiac, because I'm a Capricorn. So, and he gave me advice on when to buy, when to sell. And I ended up with a decent place that I like and my family likes. We're going to move at some point. So, it's all about perspective and what you want, what you don't want. And we looked at 68 properties, so I learned a lot. Well, I put block programming not to be taken in the first place, so I have that running behind the scenes, and I also have programming running behind the scenes. If I am taken, nothing's perfect. Even I do prayer. I talk to Source Creator because I believe in something higher existing. I don't call it God, I call it Source Creator. So I do prayer, I do manifestation work, I do contract revocation not to be taken, and I say out loud, I don't want to be taken. No, thank you. I don't want that. I do that programming, and I call it programming because it is energetic in what I manifest. Who cares if it's like off-world or abduction or whatnot? It's programming not to be taken by any of these groups, CTs, whatnot, and programming that even if something happens, I'm taken or whatnot, not to remember it, because I don't want it interfering with life goals and plans and this physicality that I'm living in now. This is what I focus on. My life, my family, my whatever I'm doing. So housing... I'm good. I don't know when I'm moving. It's just, I've secured something for the future of housing. Not sure when I move. It's just been done, and it's family stuff I'm focusing on. Conspiracy theories are no longer going to be conspiracy theories, because there is a space force. They're out in space. They have bases on the moon, Mars. Now they're out there, so you don't really have to consider yourself a conspiracy theorist, because there is no more conspiracy. It's been debunked because they have the Space Force and the Space Fleet. But the thing is, it'll take them time to build a Space Force. They won't acknowledge that they already have the secret space programs. They have to, or they'll acknowledge the lower MIC, military industrial complex out in space. That is what the Space Force will be, because they have those resources and they have the higher echelon SSP programs. But the thing is, the videos are out there of us and this and whatnots, and you can dig up declassified, remote viewing of Mars. You can dig up Project Horizon, which is like, whoa, they've already had plans for a moon base in the 1960s and then 1950s. Wernher von Braun, they coerced him and took his research and designs for space stations, the Saturn II rockets, and other design plans for colonizing space, and they used it out to build out these Mars and moon bases, the SSBs. It's partially the secret space program tech is based on his stuff. So Nikola Tesla, they took his stuff too and used it to build weapons of mass destruction, the SSB programs. A lot of scientists died in vain, basically, because their stuff was taken and used not for what they intended it to be used for. But there is also a downside to Space Force, because if you create it, then certain people who have been in the SSP and have memories of it, they can start asking government questions. What about those other advanced secret space program stuff, the good toys you're keeping from us? Well, now, you have a sorry-ass excuse for a Space Force to cover up the older stuff. What about the goods that you're keeping from us? What about that, Mr. President? Or Mr. Vice President, or Mr. Premier, or whatnot. There are people out there who can ask questions. You and me, that could get us killed, because if you go to the government, you'll likely be killed. But, there are people who can ask questions. So this could open up a whole lot of cans of worms for the Space Force. Well, our videos are out there on YouTube. I hope they don't try to censor this, because freedom is still important. The Fifth Amendment for the U.S., for us, Freedom of Information Act, whatnot. I was able to find Project Horizon just by doing a little sleuthing and detector work. I already had it in my memory, I just didn't know what it was called. And I put out that Lunar Space Operations, and that's an acronym, that's what it's called. And it was in my memories like 1960s, 1980s. That's when they started to build it out officially as successful bases, domed bases on the moon, with multiple levels on the surface and underground what they'd already built out. They just added on the surface to it because they had electromagnetic deflective shielding now from asteroids, meteorites, and space junk. So that it's like a tractor beam and force field that deflects the crap from hitting the base. So they built out on the surface as well, because they had the better tech to do it. But they had underground bases on the moon already in the 1960s. They said they were going to do it, not that they did it, but they had the plans, and behind our backs they did it secretly. The plans for it are in Collier's magazine, 1950s, 1952, 1954, the Saturn V2 rockets. Wernher von Braun published the Mars project and his work in the Collier's magazine with the space stations, circular type space stations that are now cloaked. The rocketry to get to the moon and Mars, build out bases. Project Horizon, and some other NASA stuff. And it's background research information and evidence that the secret space programs have the stuff already done. And and you have the rudimentary evidence of it in certain declassified publications. For Wernher von Braun, he wrote 2 books about it. It started with him. The space race started with him, before him. And, it was the space race with the Soviet Union. Oh my God, if the Russians get to it first, we're in trouble. Because they did it first. No, we had to have it done first. So that was the sorry-ass excuse that the U.S. used, basically. Blame it on the Russians, of course, as usual. Well, I posted some pictures on one of my pages, right? One of my disclosure pages. And I said I'm an Andromedan Palladian ET human hybrid alien. And I had some images of me. I experimented with different hair color. Temporary tie-dye hair color, like lasts a day or two, and I could easily wash it out and put another one in. They do the hairspray that washes out within a day. So I could have today I have one hair color, tomorrow I have another. And I did experiment with different eyelashes, with different mascara sticks and different mascaras themselves to create different eyelash looks. And I was told that I was using filters and to prove my extraterrestrial heritage with DNA testing. And how do you prove your DNA testing? You can't just go to any old lab and say, hey, can you draw my blood and tell me what my alien DNA is? No. So I was going by physical characteristics of an Andromedan Pleiadian hybrid. I'm blonde. I have no eyebrows because I'm blonde, and people are like, oh my gosh, you're a Nordic. I'm like, no. You stare, it's like people have an understanding of what these ET species physically look like because there's descriptions on the internet. Just because I don't have eyebrows and I'm blonde doesn't mean I'm Nordic. And I'm also pale skin. So I'm put into the Nordic category. Pleiadian Andromedan hybrid. And I was proud of the ET heritage. And I was told, some people said you look very pretty with these, mascara and the hair stuff. Somebody told me I used filters and that I totally altered my physical appearance because in videos I'm plain Jane. Like I have no makeup on, my hair is just blonde. And this is color. This is out of a box, folks. This is not natural blonde. I'm dark ash blonde. I dye my hair medium ash blonde, so I'm not new to changing different hair colors. Just because I tried purple and blue hair and pink hair doesn't mean I put on filters. I know how to do good makeup. It's just, for the first time in my freaking life, I tried selfies on my cell phone. And I was told I was using filters to make to change my appearance. I didn't change my nose shape of my nose. I could have made it thinner with a filter. I could have, made myself long, elongated jaw. I still have my moon face. I still have my big bluish green eyes. I didn't, people were like, whoa, your eyes are blue. Hey, whoa, you have long eyelashes. Yes, when I put on mascara, I have eyelashes up to here, naturally. When I don't, it's just, medium-sized eyelashes, and I look plain. I can change my appearance naturally with some tie-dye hair color. They have better hair color these days than they did a couple of years ago. So you could wash it out the next day and it'll be back to this if you selected the proper hair color in the first place. You're not going to have orange hair if you had pink hair. Sometimes it goes orange when you've dyed it pink or purple. Oh yeah, and I made that mistake when I dyed it permanently purple, like permanent purple hair color, and my hair, half of it fell out. So I was doing the tie-dye one day, not permanent color. And people are like, oh my god, you used filters. You didn't dye your hair. I dye my hair this all the time, like every 3 months. This is not natural. But I found the color that works for me, and usually I don't color it, but I decided to play a little. And people are like, oh my god, she used filters. She's fake. I'm not fake. I just choose not to wear makeup all the time because my skin gets irritated easily, especially mascara. I'll only do it on special occasions, and it's a special treat for me. I don't look glamorous and beautiful like an extraterrestrial every day. That would hurt my eyes and I'd have wrinkles. Well, yeah, and just for the fun of it, I said I am an Andromedan Palladian ET human hybrid, and I did it on purpose just to see what people would say, and I got a slew of positive comments and a slew of very negative like accusatory things. So it wasn't actually, like, I wasn't trying to trick anybody. I just, I said, I am an extraterrestrial Andromedan Palladian ET hybrid. This is my extraterrestrial heritage. And people said, you are, what counts more is not your ET heritage. What counts more is what you do with your soul and how you live your life, like in positivity and service to others. And yes, I think that's very important. But that post was driven by looks, self-looks, I guess. And I wasn't trying to be selfish or mean, or I just took some nice selfies for the very first time in like 15 years. Andromeda is a galaxy, Andromeda galaxy. And when I say I'm Andromedan, I could be any type of an Andromedan because the galaxy is huge. And when I say I'm Pleiadian, I also have Pleiadian. The Pleiades is a huge star system of its own. So I could be any type of a Pleiadian, any type of an Andromedan. It is not one set species of Andromedan or Pleiadian. It's huge. I'm just saying it's from that star system. It's from that solar system. It's not anything specific race. For me, I have the blonde, a bit of a blonde entrainment because I like to color my hair blonde. Like, I'm naturally dark blonde, but I like to color it a lighter blonde. I like blondes, doesn't matter whether it's male or female, but I like people who are blonde. Whether that's natural blonde or color blonde doesn't matter. I have an higher attraction for blondes, and that's not stereotyping anybody. If I like you and you have brown hair or black hair or green or purple or whatever, I'll like you for that too, but there is a certain attraction more toward the blonde. I don't know why. It's a blonde hair color thing because I was blonde in the programs most of the time. I look back at that interview with Denny Hunt. I was saying how great Ashtar Command is. I don't think it's that great. I think it is run concurrently with the Secret Space Program, and it's a group of Nordics. And the phrasing Ashtar Command came from CIA PSYOPs programming itself. That's where the Ashtar Command name came from. In 2016, it's not an excuse, but in 2016 when I had my interview with Denny Hunt, I hadn't remembered much of my SSP experiences yet. I had bits and pieces, but I didn't have 80% of memory back. So I thought Ashtar Command that's what it was called, and I had no idea it's a CIA PSYOP. I had no idea. Yeah, it is, and people call them Ashtar Command if they don't know what that means. They're lumped in for that PSYOP name. That's confabulated. And back then I'm like, Ashtar this, Ashtar that, Ashtar Command is wonderful. There's a bunch of Nordics that you call Ashtar Command when, that's a code name for Nordics. It's not an actual command for anything. I just wanted to clear that up because recently I went back and watched that first interview with Denny, and I'm like, and I can say I was very naive back then because that's when I was first getting my memory, and I had memory recalls of the SSP stuff. And I did believe the society disinformational norm that's put out on the internet too. And now I'm like, that's Ashtar Command is just a code name. It's not actually anything special. Or the Andromeda Council bioship, that might not be a positive experience because you have to remember Andromeda Council is supposedly a huge intergalactic federation type of a council, according to the research. Anyway, that's out there. So it could be anybody from the Andromeda Council abducting you and taking you too. So, these labels that we have, it's extraterrestrial religion, ET religion, being foisted on us. For the longest time, I was peddling the Andromeda Council as the most benevolent thing out there, and beautiful ET experiences with them, and Ashtar Command, also very beautiful experiences, contacts with them, ET contact. Now I'm not peddling that. I've wised up and just decided to keep the ET door closed from contact. Sometimes I still have ETs coming to help me, but that's rare, and I've had some positive help. I actually have. So I can't say they're all bad. I can't say they're all good. Most of them are bad, and I prefer they stay away from me. So I'm like, door closed, no contact, go away. Or it might not all be negative, but it's so connected to the desires of the human secret space program agenda that the ETs are interconnected with those programs, and they do the bidding of the SSP, and the SSP does the bidding of the extraterrestrials whenever it suits one or the other, whatever, the agenda is and what's up. So it's not fun and games, folks. It's not a glamorous life to be in the secret space program. It's not something like, oh, I want to sign up for the secret space program or the secret space force now. You don't want to sign up for that. You're signing your life away for slavery. Or for me, it brought on 2 years of fascination with the secret space program and the smart toilets. It's like an obsession. I want the smart toilet. Okay, now I have to go to Japan and get a bidet. Well, I can't go to Japan and I can't have a smart toilet, so just use the normal toilet. Well, 1800s was still the outhouse in some cases where you didn't have the flushing toilets. So it's better. Almost every house in North America has a flushing toilet, so it's better than the outhouse. We have that to be thankful for, but it's not a smart toilet. It doesn't warm your ass. It does not warm your ass. It does not play music. Unless you want to, if you want a smart toilet, you'll have to shell out close to $100,000 for one, because they are available. I could do without the warm seating and the music that I could put a heater on and put some headphones and MP3 and get music. So, but, you can buy the luxury of a smart toilet on Earth as well. But in some of the more luxurious Mars bases, you see those smart toilets and sonic showers everywhere. And you're like, you don't question how good it is. You just sit on it and you get some luxury. But you don't have at the back of your mind, does every space base like this have a smart toilet? Not all of them do. Some bases are better, some bases are worse, depending on where you end up. Just as an analogy of my obsession with the smart toilet, because I thought that was the most amazing technology I ever experienced sitting on and doing my business on. It's like, why don't we have smart toilets in every, house? Because it's a luxury item that's too frippin' expensive to buy. That's why you don't have it in your house. You don't have a glamorized bidet like they do in Japan. I mean, like, people are like, so you were tortured by the Fourth Reich, the Nazis, when you were on the Planetary Corporation basis on Mars. I'm like, I wouldn't call it what you would think of as Fourth Reich. That's not the Fourth Reich now. They're not the same Nazis that they were in Nazi Germany. They're more civilized. They have a higher veneer of class, you could say. If they torture you, they'll do it behind closed doors so nobody sees the torture on you. They'll do it that way, and then they'll stick you into the regen tank or the holographic medical pod so nobody sees that you were ever physically harmed. They have a veneer of sophistication and civilization about them. So they're not seen as the typical Fourth Reich. They're not seen as Nazis. They're seen as civilized, good people on the basis. They're bad people behind closed doors when they dish out the punishment. On the surface level, they're civilized. They're just like on Earth, normal people going about their business of managing the bases. That's how they are. They pretend to be very respectful, polite, very normal and sane people doing everyday business on the basis that they manage. Behind closed doors, they're sadists. And it was no accident that I ended up living in Israel for 2.5 years. It's no accident I ended up living permanently in Canada. Nothing is ever an accident with the SSPs. You end up where you're supposed to end up, whichever country you're now part of. You don't have to be a proud Canadian if you don't want to, which I don't say I'm a proud Canadian because I'm just me living in this country. It's far better than some other countries I've been in. You know, it's multicultural. It's we have a lot of different cultures here. And you know, as long as you pay your taxes, respect each other, nobody will bug you too much. Just when you stop paying your taxes is when the crown comes after you. Ended up in 1991 in Israel, in Jerusalem, and I was handed a gas mask, like on entry into the country, and told you have to wear this just in case if they decide to nuke us. You know, the Gulf War was alive and well. So, you know, there was a lot of infighting in Israel. They're bombing somebody, they were being bombed too. They told us, you know, you can expect an airstrike anytime now. Here's your gas mask, just in case. Hide in your closet or the nearest fallout shelter. Hey, at least you don't live anywhere near in the Middle East where you have to wear a gas mask sometimes. Oh, when you're like 6, 7 and you're given a gas mask and you wonder, what the hell is this thing? It's a long extension of your nose and I'm supposed to breathe through that. What am I now? Am I an alien? Because you look like an alien when you wear a full-on hazmat gas mask. Well, I was a kid, so I didn't really understand what that was until later on, and I just thought that was part of normal routine life as a kid. And, you know, and when I was going to turn 16, I would have had to be going into the army. Girls and boys, both. Oh no, it's just every different country you live in, there's different expectations. So going into the military is not a privilege. And it's not a desire that most of us want to experience. But in some countries, that's the mandated law. When you turn 16, 18, you are supposed to pay your dues in the military, in the army. Well, I mean, if you are medically unfit to be out in combat and to be trained as a killer, they just put you on the comm units and put you on computers in Israel. So you don't really get to see combat duty of any sort if you're medically weak of heart or medically physically weak. You don't get to be trained in any of the warfare fun and games. You get to be trained as a comm specialist. That's just what I know about the Israeli army. If you're medically not fit for physical combat, you're just put somewhere else on desk duty. Because you still have to do your time in the army. If you're not like medically unfit completely for the army, then they put you on comms. If you're totally medically unfit, you know, then you don't go into an army. You get a medical bill pass excuse from doctors, several doctors. You have to have some real proof, because in Israel, they don't just believe you on your say-so. That's just what I know. I know that Israel has Mossad. So it's like your CIA, your FBI. So somebody on the internet said that I was Mossad at some point. And I'm like, yeah, I was only 6 years old, 6, 7. Like, how could I be Mossad? I wasn't old enough. Jeez. People say the most weirdest things when you come out with your SSP experiences. Well, the guy who wrote an blog article, and he's from England. He's a research blogger, supposedly. He said, hey, she's a Zionist because she's Jewish. Her SSP stuff is not true. And she's also Mossad because supposedly she still lives in Israel. And I have proof when that person didn't have Zippo Zero Zilch proof. And I said, you know what? I'm going to serve you with a copyright strike for all this bullshit. I'll find your service provider for your website and I'll send them a message. So get rid of this crap or else. Copyright infringement, fraud for that. You're not supposed to use my name in vain. Just If I didn't give you permission to write that shit about me, you're not supposed to write it. Rules of the internet. You don't know the person, and if you're accusing them of this and that when that's not true, then you're liable to get copyright complaints and privacy complaints. Oh, and I said there will be legal action if you don't take your little accusations of me being a Zionist, a Mossad agent, an SSB sympathizer, a Nazi. Then I will happily, contact proper internet agencies, which is your internet service provider, and get you slapped on the wrist for this. So he took it down, and I said, if you're going to say anything about me, you can call me by Ileana the Star Traveler, because that's what I go on the internet these days. That's actually my Israeli name, Ileana. So that's what I go by on the internet. I don't go by my first and last name anymore, because I was attacked on other things a couple of years ago for coming forward as an SSP asset. So after that, I decided, screw that. It's not worth the hassle. And even though everybody knows who I am under Ileana as well, to those that want to listen to this, they'll find it any way they want. If they want the information, they'll find it anyway. Even if you're going under a pseudonym, they'll find you anyway. To those that want the information, that are interested in this, they'll find it any which way they want, which is kudos for them. They have the right to have the information they want. And during some of my conversations on the phone with people who know about the SSP and the healers and psychics, when I start talking about the moon, the reptilians chime in on the phone call and like, rah, 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 rah. People hear that on the phone and they're like, those damn reptilians. They don't want you to talk about the moon and what's on the moon, that it's a man-made object, that it's from another solar system, and that it has bad people and bad things on it. Like, I've had rah, 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 woo, on the phone, like reptilians telling me to shut up. Well, I know it's not a demon. I know it's actual guttural reptilian from the moon, because I could sense where it's coming from. And I've had it like 3 or 4 times on the phone with a friend. And the friend is psychic. They're a healer. They know about the SSP stuff. I've talked about it. They researched it a bit. And they're like, oh my, they're here again. Like, I could hear that. And they get goosebumps. They're like, that's not positive energy on the phone. When you have reptiles interfering in your human conversation. So that can happen. It's happened to me on the phone. And recently I did an interview with Penny. And like, for me, the sound sounded okay, but my voice was low and there was like this all the time. And I didn't hear it in the interview itself. So I've been having some interference. And my microphone is working perfectly, because I did a presentation a day ago and the sound was fine. So all I could say, I think somebody's watching and definitely playing havoc with my mic or my sound, wherever. I'm here to just have these chats with my friends and put out some decent disclosure if I can. I hope there's good sound value and some decent video here. But if there's not, it's not perfect. This is all homemade. We're not paid for it. We're just spending our time discussing things that are of importance for disclosure to us, and hopefully somebody else who wants to take the time to listen to it, to do the research. Check us out too. Check other sources to see who else is talking about their SSP experiences. Don't just believe us at our face value and words. Look at what other experiencers are sharing too. Because disclosure is not just for one person, it's for all of us to share and to speak what we think is our experiences, and see what brings us truth to you and what's not true and whatever. To one person it might sound truth, to somebody else you might not want to believe any of it or even care. Up to you. Free will, free choice. Follow your passion, follow your discernment patterns, and if it resonates, good. If it doesn't, that's fine too. I believe there's creator beings out there that created us, and somebody else created somebody else out there in the solar systems, and they're stewards of creation. That's what I believe in. I do think there is a source creator, but I don't call it God. I don't believe in religion at all. I mean, like I say, I believe in source creator. I believe that there's an energy that creates other energy in creator beings, but I don't prescribe to any religion. I don't prescribe to Christianity, to Catholicism, to anything, because that's false religion. It's falsified. It's a false sense of disclosure. And I don't prescribe to extraterrestrial religion either. Not my cup of tea. I like historical churches with the glass windows, but I don't like going into churches. I like cathedrals, but I don't go to Sunday school. Well, Sunday school is for kids more than adults. Some adults do go to Sunday school, right? I'll only go when it's empty and there's no service or sermon going on. If it's a pretty historical church, then I want to see the windows inside and the murals and the paintings. Otherwise, I cannot listen to a sermon. It's like dissonance training for me. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Nothing against it if you like it. That's your business. But for me, it's like dissonance. So... no thanks. You know, to each their own. If you want that and you're interested in that, go do it. If you're not, do whatever else feels comfortable for you. Whatever you want to do in hobbies and whatnot. Free will, free choice. But we'll end it at that. So thank you so much.